Hello, my name's Scott Davis. Welcome to New World Birth. This is the weekly neutrino forecast for January 11th to January 17th of 2015. And on January 11th, we have the sun. We can see it on the chart right here, denoted by this black circle with the dot in it. It's in Capricorn. It's in the 54th hexagram, and we can see the chop mark for the 54th hexagram on the outside of the wheel. Numbered from bottom to top. The 54 goes yang, yang, yin, yang, yin, yin. And then the 54th hexagram is then mapped to an opening in an energy channel called the gate. And right here we have the 54th gate of ambition, the Marian maiden. Interaction at its mundane social context, but also one's mystical and cosmic relationships. It's located in the root center, in a tribal energy path in the ego circuit called the channel of transformation, a design of being driven that connects to the 32nd gate of continuity, duration. The only thing that endures is change. And I've found human design to be amazingly accurate in describing the person, that I use it as my primary tool when I provide readings. And we have the following activated gates on the 11th. We've got the sun in the 54, the earth is in the 53, the north node is in the 48, the south node is in the 21. We have both Mercury and Venus in the 19, with Mars in the 30th gate, and then Jupiter's retrograde in the 4th gate. Excuse me. Saturn is in the 34th gate. Uranus is in the 21st gate. Neptune is in the 55, with Pluto in the 38. And obviously not every gate activation forms a channel, but this information can be very helpful if you know your own human design chart, because some of these transits will form channels with potentials in your personal body graph. And you can get your human design chart by going to jovianarchive.com and click on the button that says get your free rave chart, and then enter in your birth information. So basically, the neutrino forecast is a weather report, and no matter what the weather, your individual strategy and authority is the correct choice to have an authentic experience regardless of the program. As Ra Uru Hu said, whatever the weather is going to be, you have your neutrino umbrella. As long as you're experimenting with your strategy and authority, the weather is for your pleasure. And as we begin the week, there are no channel definitions due to the transit field. And we're going to be looking at the sun's Ravi Ching line values daily, because 70% of the neutrinos we receive come from the sun. And as Ra had said in Living with the Program, the lines of the day, when talking about these shifts of line values, he said we can always take advantage of the themes of the day. Well, if your strategy and authority doesn't lead you in that direction, you can always just notice how the program's affecting others in your environment. So let's get started. On January 11th, the sun is in the 6th line of the 54th hexagram. So we're up here on the roof of the hexagram, 54. So the sun in the 54-6 is described as selectivity, exalted the ingrained responsibility in terms of maintaining security and personal identity that will naturally restrict its relationships to ones that are mutually beneficial. The energy to restrict relationships that hinder ambition. Detrimented the generally benefic and expansive nature that assumes that it can instill what is otherwise missing in its partner. A waste of energy. The waste of energy in maintaining relationships which hinder ambition. 6 line days were in the role model line, roof of the hexagram, where people are looking beyond their immediate environment, beyond what's happening right around us. So, it might be a day to be a little more cautious of what is going on in your immediate environment. But this shifts very early in the day. Because later on the 11th, the sun moves from the 54 and into the 61 here, with the Earth leaving the 53 and moving into the 62. So we have the Earth in the 62nd hexagram in the gate of detail. Preponderance of the small. Caution, patience, and detail produce excellence out of limitation. The shift happens at 2:47 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the times I'm going to be giving you are going to be Eastern Standard Time. So you want to convert that to your local time zone. The sun in the 61st gate of mystery, inner truth, the awareness of a universal underlying principles. And the sun is in the first line of the 61, which is occult knowledge. Excuse me, exalted, a natural psychic awareness that empowers principles of universalization. The pressure to know the mysteries through esoterics, detrimented where a reliance on secret knowledge increasingly demands ascetic withdrawal that leads eventually to obscurity, where the pressure to know the mysteries can be so strong that one can be eventually incapable of handling exoteric realities. The sun in the first, second, and third lines were in the lower trigram. So this is more about personal process. People are looking more inward, absorbed in their own process. With the themes of the first line, the investigator is about fear or anxiety that needs to be investigated. So it's a day maybe to study, not to act, a day to look into things, maybe not to jump. It's a good day to deal with things you don't understand, can't make sense of, or don't know. And as we're continuing to progress towards the rave new year, when the sun, with the sun in the 61st gate of inner truth, and the earth in the 62nd hexagram and gate of details, looking back, has the purpose and spirit been fulfilled? Looking back, who's been there for you and who has not, to lay the ground for a new beginning? And we look within ourselves for inspiration based on facts, based on what is possible, based on our authority and power to realize our potential. And then on the 12th, the sun moves into the second line. So it's moving up into the hermit line of the 62nd hexagram. The shift happens at 12:52 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So this is 52 minutes after midnight on the 12th Eastern Standard Time. The sun in the 61-2 is described as natural brilliance, exalted, a nourishing influence, free of guile and powerfully attractive, a gift for inspiration that is both attractive and beneficial to others. Detriment that in early recognition of its influence becomes ego obsessed with maximizing its effect. A delusion that any inspiration deserves recognition. And second line days, everybody's waiting for something. They're waiting to be called for their natural talents. People are, again, it's lower trigram, so they're in their own trip. This might not be a great day to have a party because no one will really want to come. They'd rather stay in their homes under the influence of the hermit archetype and line. And then later on the 12th, the sun moves into the third line of the 61, which is interdependence. It's exceedingly difficult for truth to stand alone, exalted, the ability to establish relationships for the actualization of truth, and through their nurturing and protective power, ensure a stable environment in which they can continue to grow. The pressure to know enhanced through collaboration, detrimented with the abundance of energy and in possession of a truth, a tendency to leave others behind or be crushed by their resistance, impatience with others, and the forsaking of relationships. And third line days, this is the martyr line, bonds made and broken, trial and error process, a system of discovery by figuring out what doesn't work. Things bump into us on a third line day, so we have to be careful on the roads, be careful of swinging doors, swinging elbows, other things in our environment. Again, this is a trial and error process. It's a good material day. It may be a good day to do business and work on the material plane. But again, you have to be careful because things can go wrong, and those things that go wrong are here to lead to discovery. And on the 12th, Mars moves from the 30th gate to join Neptune in the 55. And this is Mars is in the gate of spirit, abundance. Abundance that's strictly a question of spirit. Mars in the first line of the 55 is cooperation, exalted, the expansion of activity through cooperation with powerful forces through principled actions that guarantee continued support that and engender prosperity. The potential to find the spirit through cooperation with powerful forces. Detriment, the concentration on harmonic relationships with powerful forces that provide for continuity but not necessarily advancement. The potential to harmonize with powerful forces but not necessarily for the benefit of spirit. And Ross spoke about Mars being an extraordinary and immature energy resource that lacks refinement in this subject outburst. In mythology, Mars represents the warrior archetype, and by following our strategy and authority, we slowly refine the energy of our design and personality Mars from immaturity to wisdom. The 13th is the sun moves up into the fourth line. So we move from the lower trigram to the upper trigram. In the fourth line, the opportunist line, again, of the 61st hexagram. The shift happening at 9:02 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where the sun is in the 61.4. It's described as research, exalted, the capacity to concentrate, of concentration to explore the depths of inner truth and maximize its application to fundamental principles. The pressure to know the fundamental principles, detrimented where the tendency for expansion and integration leads to involving others in research that may end in diversity of confusing applications. The illusion that collaboration will enhance inspiration. Fourth line days, we're moving from the inner process of the lower trigram to the outward transpersonal experience of the upper trigram. We got the themes of the fourth line are friendship, companionship, networking. Fourth line days are great for social interaction. People are more open to networking, to being friendly and social. And then also on the 13th, Venus moves from the 19th gate in the hexagram, leaving Mercury, and moves up into the 13th gate. So that's too big. Here, this one's perfect. So Venus is up here in the 13th gate in the G center. In human design, Venus is very powerful, deeply misunderstood according to Ra. It brings morality, natural law in which we deal with the other, and the consequences of the world around us, and what disturbs you at a moral level. Your design and personality, Venus, tell us about the moral dilemma that you'll work with in your life, and that if you don't act with moral clarity, Venus can be unkind in its retribution, according to Ra. And Venus is in the 13th gate of the listener, the fellowship of man, universal ideas and values in an ordered framework which inspires humanistic cooperation. And Venus is exalted in the first line of the 13 as empathy, the ability to relate and commune with equanimity, the exaltation, harmony through affection, a role of openness in listening to others with affection. And then on the 14th, the sun moves into the fifth line of the 61. So we're up here in the we've moved out of the opportunist line into the heretical line of the 61, and the shift happening at 7:07 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The sun's exalted in the 61.5, and it's described as influence, exalted, the enlightened father figure whose recognized wisdom and powerful assertion can mold a generation by its influence. The pressure to know that may result in influence and wisdom. Detrimented, a tendency in power to want to enforce compliance to ensure lasting influence. The pressure in knowing to resent challenges and demand acceptance. And the fifth line day the heretic. A day of suspicion, but also universalization, where something can spread rapidly like a virus, whether it's a YouTube video or a Facebook post that gets a lot of attention. There's a great deal of suspicion and paranoia on a fifth line day, but this is really due to projection, and the projection is they could do it. They'd be great at it. And then if the person doesn't do it, can't do it for whatever reason, the expectation is not met, that's when the punishment comes. And as I've said before, it's really only paranoia if they're not out to get you. And given the projection field, often they are. Seduction is also a theme of the fifth line. And then also on the 14th, Mercury moves out of the 19, and it joins Venus up in the 13. And then also we have Neptune, and this is a big change here, leaves the 55 and moves into the 37, leaving Mars in the 55. So let's start with Mercury. Mercury in mythology is the messenger of the gods. So this is about communication, expansion of human consciousness through communication, not just as words, but Ra talked about it also being through music. And what do you need to communicate in life? Well, we communicate the message of our design Mercury through the medium of our personality Mercury. And what might be communicated when Mercury is in the 13? Well, we might hear more secrets. This is the gate of the listener, fellowship of man, universal ideals and values in an order framework which inspire cooperation. And Mercury is exalted in the first line of the 13, due to Venus also being in the 13. And this is empathy, the ability to relate and commune with equanimity. The exaltation is harmony through affection, the role of openness in listening to others with affection. And with Neptune moving from the 55 to the 37, this is very significant. Neptune has been in the gate of spirit for years now, with the exception of from March 14th to May 14th of last year, when it briefly entered the 37. With this shift, Neptune leaves the 55 for the next 150 years. Neptune brings a veil. It doesn't let us see the things that are what things are all about. And Neptune will trap you if you try to get behind the veil. And this is where we learn to surrender. Operating correctly by following our strategy and authority is a form of surrender. Surrendering our mind, surrendering our thoughts. Surrendering our mind as being the authority, and following our strategy and authority. And so in the 37, Neptune brings the veil to friendship, the family, the manifestation macro and microcosmically of the organic nature of communities. Neptune is in the first line of the 37. The mother, the father, the position of inherent respect that ensures a focus for the development of guidelines. Exalted harmony is the key to successful maintenance of relationship. It's only through harmony that the beauty and values of the family can endure. Friendship is rooted in sensitivity and ensures harmony. Detrimented, there's no planet in detriment in the first line of the 37. And on the 15th, the sun then moves into the 6th line, so up to the roof of the hexagram of the 61. The shift happening at 5:12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The sun in the 61.6 is appeal, exalted, the profound attunement to the collectivity that can lure the public to the truth, inspiration that can bring clarity to the collective, detriment and a reliance on shop-worn cliches and slogans that may be new in their level of energy, but inevitably fall on deaf ears. The delusion that inspiration can bring clarity to the collective. And 6 line days, again, we're on the role model, roof of the hexagram again. And so again, this is about not, Ross says, don't get stuck with your head in the clouds because you end up with something banging into your kneecaps. It's a day where there's a lack of focus on what's going on around us because folks are really looking beyond their immediate environment. And like 3rd-line days, there are certain dangers of not seeing a car coming, not seeing a bill coming. And then on the 16th, the sun moves from the 61st gate and hexagram to the 60th. And with that, the Earth moves from the 62 to the 56. And so we've got the Earth is in the 56th gate in the hexagram of stimulation, the wanderer, stability through movement, the perpetration of continuity through linking of short-term activity. And the shift happens at 3:18 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with the sun in the 60th gate of acceptance. Limitation. The acceptance of limitation is the first step in transcendence. And the sun in the first line of the 60 is acceptance, exalted, the ability to maintain inner harmony when confronted with external limitations, harmonic energy that can deal with external limitations, detriment, the drive for diversity that when limited can become restless and agitated, restless energy when confronting external limitations. And again, we're back in the lower trigram, more of the personal process, with the first line being about an anxiety or a fear that needs to be investigated when we're in the line of the investigator. So we're continuing to progressing towards the Rave New Year with the sun in the gate of limitations, which is a time of letting go of the seduction of the mind, letting go of the insecurities that drive us to believe that we can make something happen. Closing the book on the past to be ready to step forward into a new cycle, to get clean. This is about transcending limitation through acceptance, letting go of being not self, letting go of the constant bombardment of dilemmas that our minds present to us and that distract us from our authentic promise. To trust ourselves through our strategy and authority, to give up the game of trying to allow our minds to control our destiny. And then on the 17th, the sun moves into the second line of the 60th hexagram. Oops, not quite 60th off here. Let's get it back. Try a different one. And so the second line of the 60 is decisiveness, exalted, the understanding of the nature of limitation, to accept its restraints when necessary, and thus be able to take advantage of opportunities when they arise. Energy that can be adapt to restraint. Detriment, the adaptation to restraint that becomes habitual and maintains its nature of limitation even when it no longer exists. The energy of adaptation to get stuck without eventual mutation. And again, second line days are about waiting for the call. But people are more apt to just want to stay in their hermitages in the second line energy. And then, so the sun here is beginning to move through the 61, the 60, the 41, and then the 19. These are the hexagrams and gates that are associated with the keepers of the wheel. And this is a symbolic ending and beginning, symbolic of endings and beginnings being the same. The theme of the quarter of mutation, which is the theme of the quarter of mutation, that energy cannot be destroyed. It just changes forms. A hidden quality that comes from the Tibetan Buddhist tradition of being more elemental than personal, as it differs from the other gods heads that we explored during the last year's forecast. The wheel that life moves due to unforeseen forces, like the prayer wheels at Buddhist temples. In Hinduism, this would be Prakriti or Purusha, the temporal and the eternal. The life of that life is terminal, yet the personality crystal endures. The metaphor for this might be the word Om, which which starts with the ah sound at the back of the throat, representing beginnings, and then oo, which fills the mouth, representing sustaining, and sound at the lips, which represents completion. And Om is said to have 4 letters. The fourth being the silence that precedes it, underlies it, and continues after its completion, the eternal. This is the energetic that exists in many different cultures and is seen as cyclical rather than linear. In the Mayan Zolkin calendar, being an excellent example as it moves through its 260-day cycles in a round that has really no beginning or end. The keepers of the wheel remind us that the past and the future are an illusion and that now is boundless. And with the keepers, I've decided to end the inclusion of the God's heads in any future reports. So we are ending where we began a year ago. So no matter what energies are conditioning you during the week, remember this is an experience about being a passenger riding in a vehicle driven by the magnetic monopole. So enjoy the scenery, let the vehicle take you where you need to go through using your strategy and authority. Every day is a blessing, no matter what dramas beckon to distract us. We're all here just giving the performance of a lifetime on the world stage. Just take some time to observe your play, watch your movie, as well as act your part. Because remember, you're a spiritual being that's having a human experience. And I want to thank you for checking out New World Birth, and and the next segment of the weekly neutrino forecast will be on January 18th of 2015. Should be available on the 17th, when we'll continue to look at the influence of the heavenly bodies as they transit the sky and the hexagrams of the I Ching. You can check us out on Facebook or Blogger or YouTube. There's New World Birth presences in all those places. And I invite you to contact me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com if you have any questions or wish to schedule a reading. And if you've been thinking about getting a reading, please contact me. I would love to provide you a reading during these uncertain times. You'll need to be able to either call me in the USA, or we can connect with Skype to receive your reading. We're also accepting donations to keep these reports freely available. As I said before, you can contact me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com if you want to make a donation or get a reading. What a great way to make a donation, support New World Birth, but also get something very helpful for yourself. As always, I'm blessed that you've taken the time to connect with my passion for these ancient mysteries and their application to our journey during this incarnation. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste, in Lakesh, and as Ra would say, love yourself. Anyway, thanks again, everybody. I look forward to connecting with you in a future video or a reading, or if send me a question. Anyway, all my best to everyone. Peace.